Conditions are dots. For example, Guardians can apply a condition called burning. The stats in Guild Wars 2 are a little bit different than the stats in World of Warcraft. You can see on the screen right now a table that describes the primary stats that you get from gear and some calculated stats. So as you can see, vitality is equivalent to stamina, condition is equivalent to dot damage, and condition duration is equivalent to the duration of a dot. Guild Wars 2 has weapon skills, slot skills, and traits. Let's cover those. Guild Wars 2 differs a lot from WoW in its implementation of special abilities. In Guild Wars 2, your equipped weapons define which special abilities you have. Let's take a look at this Guardian. As you can see from the Weapon Skills tab, each weapon has its own set of abilities. Even better, Guild Wars 2 allows you to swap between two sets of weapons. For example, this Guardian can swap between, for example, a mace and shield set and a broadsword. This allows you to switch to an entirely separate set of abilities during combat. This makes for some very interesting gameplay. As you level up, you earn slot skill points, which you can use to purchase various abilities. Once you reach a high enough level, you'll have access to the elite skills, which are your most powerful abilities. Guild Wars 2 traits are the equivalent to WoW talent builds. As you level, you gain access to additional tiers of traits. This Guardian, in this example, is making use of a trait build that maximizes control and damage mitigation. In other words, it's a tank. Let's focus just a little bit on the Guild Wars 2 combat system, which is drastically different than the World of Warcraft combat system. Guild Wars 2 has combo abilities that function sort of like a WoW cast sequence macro. For example, this Guardian's auto attack consists of a 3-part combo of Faithful Strike, Pure Strike, and True Strike. Guild Wars 2 abilities sometimes perform multiple functions. For example, this Guardian's Shield of Judgment ability is a DPS cone ability that also grants you the protection boon. So Guild Wars 2 abilities are more multi-purpose than WoW's. Some Guild Wars 2 abilities function similar to a WoW cast sequence macro with a reset condition. For example, Guardians have an ability called Binding Blade. As you can see in the example, the way it works is you activate the ability and it casts Binding Blade first, and then if you activate it a second time, it'll cast Pull, which pulls the target to your location. The only disadvantage of this kind of mechanic is that you can't directly cast Pull. You have to cast Binding Blade first, and then Pull will become available. This is an advantage in Guild Wars 2, in my opinion, because to achieve the same basic thing in World of Warcraft, you have to create a bunch of macros that use the cast sequence command. In Guild Wars 2, that kind of functionality is built right into abilities. You also have a set of abilities called Profession Skills, which are located directly above the main action bar. This Guardian has 3 profession skills, are called Virtues: Virtue of Justice, Virtue of Resolve, and Virtue of Courage. Now you can see the actual boons for these abilities over above the utility skill action bar. Let's now move on to perhaps the biggest difference between Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft. Namely, Guild Wars 2 does not have the Holy Trinity